Welcome to United Report, your daily hub for all things Manchester United. From breaking news to transfer talk and match updates, we've got every red covered. If you live and breathe United, hit subscribe and join the family. Glory, glory, Man United.
Manchester United are doing everything they can to land Bryan Mbeumo, but getting a deal over the line has never been easy. Brentford's technical director Lee Dykes has revealed the insane story behind how Mbeumo first joined the Bees in 2019, involving a private jet, 43-degree heat, a failed first meeting, and a terrifying flight through snow and lightning. Now, with United's 60 million bid rejected, can they finally get their man? Let's dive into this dramatic transfer saga, past and present. It's not easy getting a deal for Bryan Mbeumo over the line. Just ask Brentford technical director Lee Dykes. The Cameroon star remains at the top of Manchester United's wish list as Ruben Amorim strives to pep up his forward line following a dire season at Old Trafford. United have seen several bids, including a 60 million offer, rejected, but remain hopeful of getting their man, having already snared Matthias Cunha from Wolves. Brentford signed Mbeumo from French side Troyes in 2019, although their pursuit of the striker was far from straightforward. It was a big moment for Dykes, who had recently joined from EFL side Bury. I felt big pressure because I walked into a function where I was trying to take forward some of the good work that had already been done, he told the Bees website in December 2023. Coming into Brentford, I'd never really spent a lot of money. I'd always worked at League One and League Two level. The most I'd spent was £50,000 on a player, and then 6 weeks later, we are paying £5 million for Bryan Mbeumo. So obviously you start to think, wow, this is big money. But at the end of the day, it's just different money, same process. Dykes, co-director of football, Rasmus Ankersen and head coach Thomas Frank made a whistle-stop trip to France in an effort to complete a deal on Mbeumo, only for those initial talks to come to nothing. We were figuring that there was a possibility to sign Bryan, said Dykes. We had cleverly sourced that information, having been told that he wouldn't entertain the championship. It became quickly apparent that we had to get in and out of France in a day, as Thomas Frank had his training commitments because it was near to the season starting. Where the meeting was going to take place, there was no airport close enough we could find from London or a route to do in one day, so we didn't know if we could make it work. I remember Rasmus just calling me up saying, I spoke to Matthew Benham, club owner, and he said he'll fire up a jet and we'll get over there at that point. I was just thinking, wow. But that's when I started to feel the pressure. I'd lined it all up with Troyes, as well as the agents that were involved, so me, Thomas and Rasmus got on this jet. We got there, it was one of the hottest days of the year. It had reached about 43 degrees Celsius when we landed. It was a 60-minute journey and the air conditioning wasn't working in the taxi we got in. We had the meeting, spoke with the player, the club and the agent, but the deal broke down. So, I had convinced everyone to fly over to France to get this deal done. I thought it was going to get done, but it had broken down. A bad day then got even worse for Dykes before a deal for Mbeumo was eventually revived. He added on the way back, and I'm not a good flyer in general. The pilot turned to us and said, it's chaotic weather in London, it's snowing, there's thunder, there's lightning. I was thinking, what? It was 43 degrees when we left France. And the journey back was horrendous. I could see the pilot avoiding the dark spots on the radar. I was bricking it. But fortunately, we landed safely, and more importantly, managed to turn around the deal a few days later and eventually sign him. So Brentford fans must know that I risked my life to sign Bryan Mbeumo. Time is running out for Manchester United to get their transfer business done before pre-season kicks off. With only Matthias Cunha signed so far, Ruben Amorim is still waiting on key arrivals including a striker and a winger. The club is preparing a third bid for Bryan Mbeumo, while talks for Victor Gyokeres have stalled. Meanwhile, Marcus Rashford has emerged as a surprise target for Bayern Munich. With so many moving parts, let's break down the latest from Old Trafford and what United must do next. The clock is ticking down on Manchester United's quest to get business done before the start of pre-season. Ruben Amorim's hope was to integrate new players into his team on the club's tour of the United States. But with a return to training coming in less than a week, only Matthias Cunha has been signed. Bids have been rejected for Bryan Mbeumo, and the Red Devils have not made any progress on securing on a new striker. There has been nothing in terms of incoming transfer fees either. While the likes of Victor Lindelof and Christian Eriksen have seen their deals end, Marcus Rashford, Anthony, Jadon Sancho and Alejandro Garnacho all remain contracted to United. With the club looking to improve upon a 15th place finish from last term, there is work to be done. United will hope some progress is imminent. Sporting CP are set to find themselves under less pressure to sell Victor Gyokeres, despite the Swedish international's desire to depart this summer. The Portuguese club are willing to allow Gyokeres depart for less than his release clause, but will be under little financial pressure to facilitate his exit. Sporting are confident of completing a £55 million 47.2 million deal with Crystal Palace for defender Ousmane Diamand in the coming days, boosting their funds. Gyokeres has drawn interest from Arsenal and Manchester United this summer as he pushes for an exit. The Gunners reportedly had a bid in the region 60 million rejected by Sporting last month. The club are unlikely to allow the forward to leave for less than the 68.6 million they want, with Sporting's president, Frederico Varandas, highlighting fees already agreed for Matthias Cunha and Martin Zubimendi. Marcus Rashford is among the players being considered by Bayern Munich this summer. Vincent Kompany is keen to add a winger to his squad this summer, and the Manchester United Academy product is on the German side's long list of targets. Bayern looks set to miss out on Nico Williams to Barcelona, a team also linked with a move for Rashford. Per reports in Germany, Rashford is not a priority at the Allianz Arena with Williams, Liverpool's Luis Diaz and Paris Saint-Germain star Bradley Barcola all on the agenda. Manchester United appear to be readying a third bid for Bryan Mbeumo as they continue their talks with Brentford over a deal for the forward. The Red Devils want to land the Cameroon international in time for the start of their pre-season next week. That said, the club are reportedly adamant they will not overpay to add to their squad, having seen 2 deals rejected already. But it seems they will not wait long in their efforts to persuade the Bees. Ex-chief scout Mick Brown said, "United are going to make another bid in the coming days, and they're confident they can get it done. From what I hear, I'm expecting things to speed up soon, and I think it will go ahead." Jadon Sancho's time at Manchester United looks all but over, and Juventus are now pushing hard to bring him to Serie A. Reports out of Italy claim Juve have offered a bold swap deal, putting 3 big names on the table: Dusan Vlahovic, Douglas Luiz and Timothy Weah. With Sancho yet to agree terms with any club and his massive £250k a week wage a stumbling block, could a player plus cash deal finally seal his exit? Let's break down the full story, who's involved and what this means for United's summer rebuild. Juventus have stepped up their attempts to sign Jadon Sancho and are even said to have offered Manchester United 3 different players in a bid to strike an audacious swap deal. Sancho, 25, is surplus to requirements at Old Trafford and will be sold this summer after failing to agree terms on a permanent move to Chelsea. But there has been little movement beyond initial interest from clubs in Europe for a player who cost United a staggering 73 million back in the summer of 2021. Juventus are among those who are keen on a deal for the former Borussia Dortmund man, who has also been linked with Napoli, and according to reports in Italy, they have indicated they are willing to send one of 3 high-profile players in the opposite direction. Dusan Vlahovic is the first name mentioned. United have previously been interested in the Serbian striker, who was heavily linked with Arsenal before moving to Turin. The 25-year-old is in the final year of his contract, and like Sancho at United, is effectively up for sale. Douglas Luiz, the former Aston Villa midfielder, is another player who United could have in exchange for Sancho, according to said report. The 27-year-old spent 5 years at Villa Park, and like Vlahovic, is a player that United have previously been credited with an interest in signing themselves. Timothy Weah is the third player United have been made aware is available to leave Juve. The winger was recently the subject of transfer interest from Nottingham Forest. However, Weah rejected a move to the City ground. While Juventus are keen to offload Luiz, Vlahovic and Weah, there are said to be a number of options on the table for United to consider when it comes to a potential sale of Sancho, with the above players only touted during discussions over the Englishman. The Italian giants are understood to have no issues with paying a transfer fee for Sancho, but it is the player's salary, reported to be a huge £250,000 a week, which is proving to be a sticking point. Other European clubs continue to be linked with Sancho, who played regularly while on loan with Chelsea last season, but nothing has been agreed with United to date, meaning Sancho is set to return to Carrington for pre-season training as things stand.